Hello, I have a request from a friend, a very dear Dharma sister, to talk a little more about authenticity. It seems to be a kind of a big topic these days. A lot of people are talking about gender authenticity with surgeries and stuff. But what I'm talking about is just a level of knowing oneself, of being comfortable with oneself, and just sharing that, whatever the truth is. Now, I know I personally hide a lot of my negative thoughts and negative feelings and don't really come close to being authentic in that department socially. But I think that some of the work I've done as a Buddhist practitioner has paid off in terms of having a sense of self that is a little more, grounded or secure than I did have before. And in terms of Buddhist image of self or idea of self, there's, of course, no self. The higher self is no self. And the more one lets go of attachments to ideas, concepts about who one is, I'm Jenny, I have this body, everything else is outside of me, everybody else is potentially dangerous. The more I let go of those kind of ideas, and there are lots of tactics for doing that, the happier I am, the more peaceful, composed, natural, giving, compassionate. Because it just makes sense to be compassionate when you aren't caught up in a lot of thoughts about yourself. My friend also talked about, she liked the idea of the comments I made about compassion and the war, and how seeing these horrific things that are going on in Ukraine, and of course go on in a lot of places in the world without anyone knowing about it. I mean, hideous things happen all the time. And mostly due to self-absorption, the craving, the wanting more for me, mine, more. All that, of course, results in these things, greed and other things that are terrible, even more terrible. I guess greed is a big one. Obviously, Putin's attachment to who he thinks he is a big part of this, unfortunately. So when we see these things, we can't help but be moved by them, of course. And the more we're interested in involved in other people when we encounter them, the more we're going to be feeling compassionate. So she also said she'd like to hear me teach Dharma. I don't teach anything, I just am observing, watching my mind, watching you all, resting in mind and so forth. So that I don't have much to say, and that's why I'm asking for comments. And what I really intended to do with this video was to talk about my history of helping people, of taking a compassionate, helpful teaching type stance. When I was little, I was the older child, and my sister, I quickly found out that it was much easier to be a teacher to her and a helper to her than it was to try to deal with her otherwise, because then I got some respect, and there was a two-way communication. My sister's mentally ill and has been schizophrenic for most of her life, so she was really my first teacher. And when I had children, I wanted to be the best mother I could be, and I did my very best with that, and I'm glad to say that I I'm happy for what I've done with that and what I've learned. My kids are my other second most important teachers, are the second in time, not second in value. I learned so much from them. And then, when I got a career late in life, 12 years as a tax professional consultant, I helped people who were disabled. There was a disabled center near where I was, and they came in, and I specialized in blind and disabled taxes and setting up trusts and so forth. I keep losing my light. And I also developed a specialty in senior financial care, where I went into homes of people who were wealthy and living in their homes due to having a social worker who was able to keep them there. And I developed a plan, a set of procedures to help the situation, to go into their files, clean things up, do historical searches for other bank accounts. One woman had driven across the country once and stopped and opened bank accounts in a number of cities, and that took a little bit of effort to find out. Anyway, there were also social workers involved, and caregivers, and the family, and the lawyer, and the banks, and all of that had to be coordinated on a financial level, so I did that for a long time. It was very fulfilling, and I was really happy doing that. So when I went to India, which I did for about 12 years all told, I, of course, expanded on the work of compassion. And that was 12 very, very interesting, exciting, and productive, transformative years with His Holiness the Galwang Karmapa. So now I'm 79, back in the U.S., starting to be a little more involved in developing my meditation via some American Buddhist techniques. Those seem to be filling in some areas that I hadn't examined. And I still want to help. I mean, I'm 79, and I'm, wrinkly and everything, but I'm not dead, and I'm not crazy or demented yet. So I really want to spread some information or views that might be helpful, etc., etc. So this is a long video. I had an exciting day, and more vaccinations, more medical delays, more ridiculous medical stuff, which I will talk about a little bit later. There is a person who does YouTube videos whose name is ZDoc. I think it's ZDoc. Anyway, Dr. Zubin something. Anyway, he does a lot of comments on medicine in America right now, and I suggest you find him and take a listen. So, still asking for comments. Hope I get some. The channel has started very slow. It now has had 200 views on 10 videos, and I have 10 subscribers. All round numbers today, for some reason. And I hope to be able to do this as long as I can. Enjoy. Be authentic. Watch your mind.